So I just got back from Talent Connect, and I wanted to share with you guys what happened when I ran into Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary was one of the featured speakers of the event, and also the guy who fired me from my last job. Let me back it up. I landed my dream job at VaynerMedia. I was moving to the burbs with my beautiful wife and our 3-year-old daughter. 7 months later, I was unemployed. On the day of my big L, I took the most important words of advice that I've ever received from GaryVee. Double down on your strengths and stop focusing on your weaknesses. And then this happened.
Adam, where are you? I saw your face. Hey, brother. I'm literally looking at a former employee who I fired. And during that firing, which was, by the way, a top 15 firing of my career, that was difficult because not only is he a tremendous dude, the timing of his life with his family expansion made this firing unbelievably difficult.
Welcome back to another episode of the Who You Know Show podcast, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your business, career, relationships, and life. My name is Trevor Houston, and on this show, you'll learn the strategy, grit, and mindset it takes to overcome obstacles so you can level up in your career, recover your cash flow, and live the life of purpose that God intended for you. Don't forget to look at the mic drop moments time-stamped in the show notes below. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to pay it forward, subscribe, and leave an honest review so we can improve. Thanks for listening. My name is Trevor Houston, and please enjoy this episode of the Who You Know Show.
Adam, what was it like to get fired by GaryVee?
Yeah, man, just to set the record straight, Gary wasn't the actual person who did it. It was HR that did it. But yeah, no, it makes the story cool. It makes the story cool, but it adds up to the whole thing.
Okay,
so
cool.
Here's the deal. People usually ask me, what's Gary like? Is what you get. And it absolutely is. Gary is the real deal. He means what he says what he means. He's incredible. He cares about his employees. His employees are his family, and that's the way he treats them, and that's the way he treats me. And the way the story goes, the long and short of it was, listen, 15 years working in advertising and marketing. I landed what I thought was my dream job at VaynerMedia. And you know what? I think a lot of people, they think the grass is greener on the other side. And once you get there, it's not. Maybe there's a couple of brown spots, a couple of yellow spots, and green patches there. But for me, I'll be honest, A, I wasn't truly set up for success in that position, and B, I didn't really do exactly what they hired me for. I was a much different person 6 years ago than I was now. I didn't come into the role. I didn't do everything I needed to do to accelerate myself and put myself in the best position. And ultimately, I lost my job, and that was tough. Wasn't the right place, wasn't the right time for me. And gentlemen, on that day that I got let go by HR, not by Gary, just to set the record straight here, spent some time with Gary afterwards. And he said the most important words of advice, which you saw there: stop focusing on the things you suck at and double down on your strengths. And that's exactly what I did. And I pivoted into the world of recruiting.
I'm curious about that. So what was it that led you into that space? Because you could have done anything in the world, but why recruiting?
Yeah, it's interesting. So during that conversation, Gary goes to me, he goes, let's talk about those things that you're strong at. A, what you and I are doing right now. Number two, I know marketing and advertising and social media like the back of my hand. Yes, that role wasn't right for me. That time and place wasn't for me. But I spent 15 years in that. I understand the foundations, the fundamentals, social media, digital, performance marketing. That's what I know. And three, my ability to connect and communicate. So Gary goes, do you have any thoughts in mind? And I said, you know what, Gary? I have a friend that does healthcare recruiting. I have another friend that does financial recruiting. And before I could finish my sentence, Gary goes, Adam, you would be a kick butt. I'm not using GaryVee language here. There's a couple of expletives in there. But I was like, what do you mean? You would crush it. You would absolutely crush it. And that's what I did, man. And just to set the record straight again, I didn't jump right into recruiting. Before I actually got hired by a search firm, I spent about 6-7 weeks reaching out to every recruiter that I've ever met in my career. I reached out to recruiters that were referred to me, recruiters that were friends of friends. And I asked them for their time. And this really equates to the job search also, the informational interview. How do you ask people the right way for their time to understand what they do in their job and their career? And that actually ultimately led me to my first job in recruiting, which was a referral through an introduction at a company called Onward Search, where I learned the art and science of recruiting. So been in the art and science of recruiting world for about 5 years, opened up my own shop about 3 years ago, NHP Talent Group, and we specialize in recruitment for marketing, media, ad tech, and anything related in that field. We work with brands and startups and all over the country.
Okay, so you were talking about informational interviews, right? So those are very important. That's something that we teach our audience to schedule. Like in my tip of the week, I was talking about how to use technology in a way to get in those DMs, to get conversations started, to schedule informational interviews, right? What kind of strategies, like how do you get people's attention and get those informational interviews scheduled?
You know, it's very interesting. It really depends on what your approach is, because we have to also remember, time is your most valuable asset.
100%.
Time is absolutely, so to ask somebody for their time, you have to be very specific about what you're asking for.
Right.
The last thing I ever want someone to come to me with, the last thing I hate is someone asking me to pick my brain, or someone asking me for more time than I'm willing to give. All of us here charge for our time, so you have to be very specific about it, and also not make it about me, but make it about you. How do you make it a two-way conversation? How do you approach somebody and ask them very tactfully? Listen, most people are willing, especially in this day and age when you have extra time from not commuting. People have a little bit more bandwidth. People are just more empathetic and giving right now. So just be mindful of how you ask people.
I love that. So I just gave you a mic drop. Okay, here's why. And let me tell you something. I get that all the time. I want to pick your brain. I want to get to know you so we can collaborate. I have, literally, I get hundreds of requests. Of people saying they just want to pick my brain.
They want to take me to coffee.
And that's not the right approach.
And I'm going to tell you, if it's not that I don't want to help you. I want to help you, but literally tell me why we're going to have that conversation. Why? Because otherwise, I've got hundreds of people asking me the same question, and if I gave everybody my time, I would have no time.
No time for yourself.
And time is
and
money.
The other thing is, too, when you ask somebody for something, you have to be mindful about putting too much of the onus on them. Like, when someone says to me, how can I provide you value? You're asking too much of me. Now I got to think about how someone maybe I just met, how they're going to provide value to me. You need to say what you're going to do for me if you're asking for my time and you want something from me. So be careful, because a lot of these cliche things, man, they come off the wrong way.
You got another mic drop. Like, quit saying you want to provide someone, like, how can I provide you value? Because you need to know how you're going to provide value.
Yeah, you need to find that.
Do some research. Come to the table with something.
Like, I've gotten to the point now where I have a scheduling pre-screener. When people ask me, hey, I want to pick your brain, hey, I want to collaborate, I have a response. And the response is, yeah, sure, absolutely. Let me connect you with my assistant so that she can send you some information, and we'll see about the best time. And in that questionnaire, guess what it says? Be specific. Tell me why you want to talk to me. Don't just tell me you want to collaborate. I don't have time for that. Tell me why. And if you tell me why, I'm going to give you my time. But so many people are just like, I just want to pick your brain.
I just want to chat.
I just want to chat.
How can I provide value to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the response should be, I don't know, you're probably going to have to find a way. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a general problem across LinkedIn with DMs, regardless of job seekers or not. I think that people are not putting in the time. There's so much information on a good profile. There's so much information you can find. If someone doesn't find, it literally will take somebody. Anyone could go on right now, look at my profile, spend 1 minute, and everything you need to know about me, my podcast, my company, what type of roles I recruit for, where I live, everything is on there for the taking. My websites are there. So if you don't do any of that upfront work, I'm not going to give you any of my time. Because if I have to spend that time giving you all of that upfront, that's a waste for me, and it's a waste for you.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, there's a third mic drop.
Hey, I have a quick question about that, because if somebody came to you, Adam, and said, hey, Adam, I know what you do based on your LinkedIn profile. I really want to talk to you. I actually have a friend who's a marketer that's looking for a job. I think it'd be great. Can I make the introduction to you? And then can we have a conversation? Would you respond to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But one thing really important to remember when reaching out to a recruiter. So there's two types of recruiters here. We have in-house recruiters, and then we have agency recruiters.
Right.
So there's a different method to reaching out to both of them.
Which kind
you have to remember, as an external recruiter, right? I work for the client. The client is the one that pays me, not the job seeker. So I get a ton of people reaching out to me. Can you help me with my job? I'm looking for marketing. I go, listen, I'm more than happy to take a look at your resume, keep you in my database, but understand that I work for the client. If it happens to be the right role, if it happens to be the right fit, I will be reaching out to you. But I don't work on your behalf. And it's just very black and white and straightforward. And yes, I say it with a lot more softness. I'm not always coming off as this rough New Yorker here, and there's a much better bedside manner. But the matter of the fact is, who is buttering your bread? That's who the client is.
Yeah, I think it's also what's happening is right now in these DMs, people are getting sold all the time. They're getting pitched. They're getting And so I even like what GaryVee talks about. I'm going to spin it to GaryVee for just a second, because GaryVee talks about this all the time, how you can go into the DM and just DM a bunch of people and get their, and like it's volume, right? And get their attention. But you got to do it in a way like you're talking about, where you build commonality, you find out about them, you figure out what their needs are. Like, I'll give you a perfect example.
Can't be copy paste.
Right, it can't be copy paste. Totally. I had a guy reach out, and he is trying to sell me something. He's trying to sell me audio services. He edits audio. Just like you would edit video, he edits audio, cleans it up, makes it sound crystal clear, right? That's what he does. He reaches out to me and he's like, hey, I listened to one of your episodes. I noticed there was some peaking at certain points. And he says, I actually went ahead and edited one of them for you. Here you go. Listen to it for yourself. And he sends me the audio file.
That's how you break through, man.
Right? Like, he gave me a
premium
sample.
added value.
Right? And I'm like, dang, now I got to talk to this guy. I feel guilty if I don't.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
a door opener, man. You
Right?
put in the effort, you're going to get the phone call.
Yeah.
Like, I have to talk to him now, and I do. We have a call scheduled. Hopefully, you'll be able to get some better audio here in just a few minutes. But
Yeah, I had somebody do that with a video for me, and I have a whole production side of my house that's already taken care of, but the guy put in the effort, and he actually evaluated one of my recent videos, and he gave me a few tips, and exactly the same thing. I gave him a 15-minute phone call. I said, listen, I don't need you, but I really value what you did for me, and now I refer him to other people. So never, ever underestimate the power of the referral. That's another piece, too, there.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, referrals
That's
are
what this
lifeblood.
network is all about.
Yeah, referrals
As
are
a
lifeblood.
recruiter, man, it's all referrals. If I get on the phone with a candidate and they're not right, or like somehow it's not the right role for them, not the right role for us, I'll always ask for a referral. Be like, hey, Trevor, listen, unfortunately, you're not right for this role. Do you know anyone who might be good for that? Like, there's different ways that recruiters can get referrals, too. And it helps the candidate, too. If a candidate gives a recruiter a referral, you're in their good graces for the next time around.
We say in recruiting, good people refer good people, and you'll find that to be true.
Yeah, you don't refer someone you don't endorse. That's a no-brainer.
I'm going to give Foster one. Oh, that didn't even make any noise.
Mic drop.
That was a mic drop. Adam, quick question for you. What do you think is the biggest challenge or mistake job seekers need to overcome?
Oh,
This is a tough one. So we really need to think right now about the current market. So this is the toughest job market for candidates in years, maybe since 2008 recession. So we really need to think about what's happening out there. There is so much A-list talent out there. The market is flooded with really good people. So for the companies where there's a limited amount of jobs, we could pick anybody we want. So if you're an average Joe or Jane, that job is a lot harder for you to get in front of recruiters, to get your resume out there. So it's all about relevance. I think the most important thing that they have to focus on is being relevant. I'm not saying make stuff up on your resume, but what I'm saying is enhance your resume to what the job description is looking for. Make sure it stands out. Pump it up. Really pump it up if you have those skills. Because if you're only like, I'll be honest,
Mic drop.
I'm looking for at least 80% relevancy on a resume for me to even consider talking to you.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have the aptitude. I don't care if you're the funniest, best person in the world. What it comes down to right now, my clients are paying me to get the right person with the right skill set in that position. So be relevant.
Especially if they're paying you, they're going to want more accuracy.
Oh, man, if it's a contingency role, 100%. No one's paying me to pick off the scrap heap here.
Yeah.
So on that note, here's the deal. This purple squirrel, they want you to fit all the little checkbox, right? They're looking for all that. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. I want you to always have empathy and always put yourself in the shoes of the other person. So if you're a job seeker, put yourself in the shoes of the company. Okay?
Okay.
So think about it for a second.
Okay.
You're a company, and you're about to spend, let's say it's $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year salary, right? And you've got the average tenure on a job right now is 3 to 4 years. Okay, that's the average tenure. So let's just call it 4 years. So they're basically signing the dotted line for $400,000, okay? Plus bonus, plus, right? You're costing that company over $500,000. If you were about to shell out $500,000, do you not want to make sure that this is the right person for the job? And that this person can hit the ground running and do the job and
make ROI.
and make an
That's one way to
ROI.
look at it. Yeah.
Yep,
That's
it's
a good
ROI.
analogy.
It's about
Right?
ROI.
Because I know if I'm doing that, like I watch the Shark Tank all the time, and I'm like, if I'm signing for $500,000, you better bring me some value.
Better bring some heat.
Yeah.
So
I got a shark on my podcast next week.
who you got?
Who you got?
I got Matt Higgins coming on the podcast
Oh,
next
that,
week.
Oh, nice.
Man, that is big time. Hey, Adam, we always like to help you too, so we want our audience to know because they're plugging in with all these agencies, with all these
Yeah.
companies. We got a lot of marketers that are coming through the network. An ideal client for you, right? Your clients.
Yeah, what could help you out, man?
Yeah, I best operate in the 50, I would say actually in the small to mid-sized startups, so anywhere from 30 to 150 employee startups all the way up to agencies around 250, 300 people.
Great. Audience, start connecting him.
He had a lot of mic drop moments. He brought the heat. Adam.
I could go for another hour, man.
Man, I could too.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for helping the job seekers out there. You guys are doing real work out there.
Thanks for listening to the Who You Know Show podcast. My name is Trevor Houston, and if you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing wherever you listen and leave us a positive review to help us keep the mics on in the studio. Until next week, that's the show. It's all about who you know.